For the founders in the space with style and grace, I'm Brittany Antoinette, host of the Not So CEO talk show and founder of The Idea Girl. From work and wellness to bootstrapping and burnout, we cover all bases on building a brand, whether you're a seasoned vet or you're just getting started. Through guest interviews, water cooler combos, and office hours, we're paving way for a new era of Not So CEOs. So grab your notepad and tune in for unfiltered banter on branding, business, and bullshit. Have you ever experienced that gut wrenching feeling when you see your idea out there, but it wasn't you who put it into the world? Did they steal your idea or were you just sitting on it? In this segment of Office Hours, we're navigating the murky waters of originality and understanding where ideas truly come from. We'll explore my personal journey with copycats, how to deal with them, how to identify the fine line between inspiration and imitation, and we'll explore the controversial concept that no idea is truly original, inspired by Elizabeth Gilbert's insightful title, Big Magic. So let's get ready to step into my office. Hello there, and welcome back to another episode of the Not So CEO Talk Show. Today, I want to chat about copycats. Now, they say imitation is a form of flattery, but me and my homegirls would like to respectfully disagree. Whether it's a rival brand mimicking your unique style or a former employee replicating your hard work, the experience can be both infuriating and daunting. Well, lucky for you, I've experienced both. Recently, I had a situation on Instagram where a brand agency copied my post bar for bar, word for word. It's interesting that I even stumbled across the post because rarely am I ever on the explore page. So I looked at the cover and I didn't really think anything of it because it was just a breakdown of the term brand, branding versus brand identity. Being that brand, branding, and brand identity are not terms that are exclusive to me, it's almost expected to see other creators, other strategists use and repurpose these terms in order to educate their audiences or share content. But when I actually clicked on the post, which was a carousel, the second slide gave it away immediately. In my original post back in August 2023, I used a Venn diagram to compare the differences of all of the different terms. And they also happened to use a Venn diagram. And when I mean very little was changed, it was pretty much the same exact post. Then I swiped and looked at the other image and I'm like, wait, hold on. I created a format that breaks down the terms in kind of like a dictionary meaning. I include, whether it's a verb, noun, so on and so forth. And then I include examples. They literally did the same exact thing. So I did what anyone would do. I approached them in the DMs and expressed my concerns and said, hey, this post isn't original. It is an exact replica of my content. Do you mind taking it down or giving me credit? So they ignored me for hours. And I'm going underneath their posts and seeing everyone saying, oh my God, this is such an amazing post, so on and so forth. And my post got about 571 likes. Their post got about 10,000 likes, which is insane. Given their platform is a lot bigger than mine, I probably have only maybe 2,400 followers. They have about maybe 30,000 followers. So obviously they're going to have more likes than me. But the issue I had was the fact that people were actually commenting on the post saying, oh my God, this is the best post that I've ever seen. Oh my God, I love how you've broken this down. And I'm like, wait, this is me. This is my words. This is my verbiage. This is my art. So I was a little emotional about it. And I am a jokester. I tend to be really comedic online and whatnot. And I joked around about it on my page. What I did not expect, well, I kind of did anticipate it, was so many of my friends and my community members literally went and commented on their posts to the point where they essentially blocked me, blocked almost all of my friends and followers who commented on the post, and they eventually took the post down. Let me tell you one thing. My friends and my community, they do not play about me, okay? There is a fine line between copying someone and being inspired. Dealing with a copycat on the internet is one thing, but dealing with a copycat in your company is another. So if you listened back episodes ago on the Not So CEO talk show, I said I was going to give more context about this situation at a later date. Once I felt comfortable, once I was a little bit more healed, I hired someone, let's call her Ashley. I hired Ashley back in September of, I want to say 2019. And at the time, I was just looking for an intern. And somehow, some way, it ended up turning into this person being like a creative coordinator or pretty much my assistant. And that was what the job, pretty much entailed. So this person worked really closely with me. I'm talking, they were in brand strategy meetings. They knew everything that I wanted to do. They had the inside scoop. They were literally right there the entire time. So you can imagine they had to handle a lot of sensitive information and whatnot. They pretty much had access to everything that I had access to. So the copycat started off in really weird, small ways. And I completely ignored my gut. And I'm just going to tell you guys, please go with your gut in these instances. My experience with this situation was so traumatic. It took me years to even speak out about it. It wasn't until after the fact I hired her because originally she was supposed to be an intern. I learned that she actually wasn't even in college. I remember asking her, like, I forgot what it was. We were having a conversation one day, and she said, "Yeah, I've never been to college." And I'm like, "Wait, how did you apply to this job?" Because originally this was an internship that turned into kind of like an assistant position. I'm like, "Wait, okay, so you're lying about you not going to college. Okay, let me just make that mental note." She was an aspiring model and influencer. And she asked me one day if she could use the analytics from the Idea Girl page to submit to a brand because we had really high engagement. We had a pretty large following at the time. And I didn't think anything of it. So I'm like, yeah, sure. So that was instance number one. Instance number two, I remember I was going away on vacation and I ended up getting my hair braided at the office. I forgot the name of the company, but pretty much the person came and they did my braids at work while I was working. And Ashley was there. So, literally, if not maybe days later, I remember her asking if she can stay home for the day and if she could work from home. So I was like, okay, cool, no problem. Then I go on Instagram, and in her Instagram stories, she's posting a poll. I believe it was a poll or a quiz asking, "What do you guys think I'm doing today? Going to work or getting my hair done?" And in the next story, she's literally getting her hair done in the mirror with her laptop. I was like, "Excuse me? That's just weird." And I spoke to her about it, and I tried, like, seeking guidance, and this is why you should always listen to yourself. Because my gut was like, something is off here. Something is off." And I ignored my gut, and I did not wanna come off as a bitch. I didn't wanna look mean or anything. So I was just like, "It's all good, but just don't ever do that again." Then there was another situation where I had went out with some associates one night and we had a great time. And I had got online and did one of my crazy little rants. And I might have said something to the extent of like, I'm not trying to hang out with anybody who doesn't want to spend extra on guac or whatever. Or want to split a $10 Uber. Like, I'm not trying to do that. And that was just really and truly one of my drunk rants. Like it was such a crazy drunk rant, but it was funny. If you know my personality, then you know I meant nothing by it. I literally go online the next day and she's saying, "Hey, who wants to come to the Lovers and Friends tour with me? You can't be the type of girl who doesn't want to pay extra for guac." And I'm like, wait, hold on. Is she copying my rant? Again, didn't think anything of it, but I just noticed I was like, that's a little weird. So during the time of her working for me, I also did offer mentorship. And around the time she told me that she wanted to be an entrepreneur, but she didn't really know what she wanted to do. She was inspired by different people around, but she really just did not know what she wanted to do. And she asked me really specific questions on certain areas that she wanted to focus on in her life. Like, granted, even though I'm your supervisor, I'm super approachable and I am truly passionate about helping people and helping them get to the next level with whatever insights, whatever tips and tricks that I can give them to help them get there. So things started to get even stranger. One day she tells me that she had gotten a past life reading. And in the past life reading, The person told her that she was an evil person in all of her past lives and that she was back in this life to do good. Excuse me? If that wasn't a red flag, I don't know what was. And I just didn't want to alarm anyone. I didn't want to appear crazy or anything. So I said absolutely nothing. I said absolutely nothing. I didn't tell anybody. I was just like, you know what? It is what it is. Brittany, you'd be tripping if you were to let her go because a psychic told her that she was an evil person in the past life. Like I didn't think anything of it. But then my gut was just like, girl, she is literally telling you who she is. Run. So she tells me that she wants to launch a book club and she wants to create a community for women who are interested in sharing books and doing a book club, essentially. That's what it was. She asked me if she can use one of the designers on the Idea Girl team to help her design her idea and whatnot. And I agreed to it. I said yes. She paid the designer, of course, like, a discounted rate and whatnot. It did not go through my agency, but she ended up working with the designer. So she's calling me at night, asking me my recommendations on color palettes. So I'm helping her, creative direct. But after a period of time, I was no longer like seeing the project. It was kind of like under wraps. So she writes me this long email one day telling me how she needs a raise because she is trying to move into an apartment, so on and so forth, and asks, are there any other responsibilities that she can do at the agency, to earn more money? So I'm like, okay, cool. I need help with social media. We signed a contract. She's now getting about $600 a week in addition to any projects she writes copy for. So after she got her raise, one of the things that I really wanted to work on was bringing back the Idea Girl Gang. So the Idea Girl Gang is essentially what Not So CEO is currently. And it did everything from like having membership. I would do events, I would host workshops, I would create freebies, digital products, things of that nature. And because I was focusing on growing the agency, I put the Idea Girl Gang on the back burner. And one of the things that I tasked Ashley with was helping put the systems in place, creating social media content and whatnot to help bring the Idea Girl Gang back to life. So she had access to everything from like my pitch decks, my products, so on and so forth. So I would ask her, to put together certain posts and coordinate. And I remember doing this really specific method to create mood boards through tapping through the stories. So I noticed that she posted one on the Idea Girl, the one that I approved for her to do. And then I go on her personal page and she uses the exact same technique. I was like, hold up, that's kind of weird. So, anyways, maybe about a month or two goes by, and we haven't really made too much progress when it comes to social media. Now, I'm still paying her her full contracted rate, but there was a lag in the responsibilities that was supposed to be done for the social media manager. And at the time, one of the things that she used to do is, in order to take attention off herself, she would put attention on another contractor or someone who was working for the company and try to highlight all of the things that they were doing wrong. So hopefully I wouldn't notice all the things that she wasn't doing. So at the time she was blaming, saying that the other person doing social media wasn't doing this, they weren't doing this, they wasn't doing that. And when I looked at it and I went back to the contract right before I fired her, I was like, wait, these are all the things that you were supposed to be doing. She used to create fires so that way I wouldn't notice all of the mischief she was causing. So now by this time, I'm completely distracted by all of the fires that I need to put out. I'm running out of money. When I mean I got paid last, I got paid last. I barely made anything. All of my money went to contractors. Projects weren't getting done on time. Projects were lapsing. Invoices were missing, weren't getting paid. And it was just so much. And then again, the little fire starter. So I remember specifically, we had a designer on the project. She's an amazing designer. We were literally at the end of the project where we had to hand off the website. And Ashley says to me, I don't think we should hand off this project to the client. I don't think we should hand off this website. I think the website looks bad. I don't think that we should hand this off. Mind you, we are literally at the finish line with this project and did extra work for this client. So I'm like, really? Like, because she's supposed to be my eyes and ears. So I'm really just taking her insight to heart and asked the project manager on the team, what do you think? He's like, listen, I'm willing to go with whatever you go with. So I approached the designer and told her, like, listen, like, we're going to have to do this over. And she's like, well, I'm not doing this over. They have to pay for extra revisions. So Ashley convinced me and said, the client shouldn't have to pay for extra revisions. And I'm like, what? Like, this is just so crazy. And I don't know what spell I was under as to where I actually listened, which was crazy. I ended up going back to the client and offered to redo the project. I still had to pay the designer out maybe close to anywhere between $3,600 to $4,000. And I redid the project over for free. So that was an example of the type of fires that she would create that would distract me to put them out instead of paying attention to what she was doing. So now it gets to a point with the agency where I'm running out of money completely. I barely have any money to run my day to day operations. And I basically had a meeting with everybody on my team and let them know, hey guys, like I'm going to have to cease everything. I can't afford to pay you guys. And I'm going to have to take on these projects by myself. Would you believe everyone on the team literally said, there is no way I'm letting you take on any of these projects by yourself. We will work for free until you can pay us again. The only person who was not on board with this was Ashley, because Ashley was probably making more than everybody, including me, at the Idea Girl. It might have been maybe one or two situations where Ashley might have gotten paid a day late. I remember having to borrow money from my aunt to pay Ashley. I remember my agency literally just going to shit. And it was just one day where I was like, I cannot afford this anymore. And my aunt lent me money and I think she gave me like maybe $1,100 and I gave a majority of that money to Ashley. So after that weekend, Ashley decided to launch her book club and decided to launch her personal website. So I looked at her personal website and she's literally offering the same exact services that I had her do at the Idea Girl based off of my technique of brand strategy. She was listing services that she never did, that she wasn't doing. And then when I look at the copy, it literally verbatim looks like the same exact thing at the Idea Girl. And I'm like, wait, hold on. This is crazy. So I said something to her about it. And I'm like, why does your personal website look exactly like the Idea Girl? It doesn't make any sense to me. So she was like, oh, I'll take it down, so on and so forth. So now with the book club, it was literally the same exact thing. It looked like the Idea Girl had a baby. So she had me under the pretense that it was going to be a book club. But what it was a community for entrepreneurs and freelancers. That sounds really familiar. So I remember one day she's talking to me and she said, I want to do what the Idea Girl does, but for women in business. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, what I do is for women in business. That doesn't make any sense. So essentially what she did was is that she had me again under the guise that this was going to be a book club, but what she was doing was essentially taking the foundation and creating what I did for the Idea Girl gang for herself. When I seen it, I must have flipped out. I literally called every single person on the team and I was like, did you know about this? Did you know about this? And at that point, I could not trust anybody. And I ended up letting her go after doing like my research and my investigation. But I'm so mad at myself because I ignored my intuition when I knew it was not right to keep her around. I was afraid of how I would look to people. And instead, I just kept her around a lot longer than I should have. When I mean this situation triggered me, it literally threw me into a depression. I felt like I was in the movie Obsessed with Beyonce or like Single White Female. When I mean every single little thing I did, this girl was doing. She was emulating me from the way I talked, from the way I presented myself in front of people. It was just super weird. And I'm just like, wait, like, did I literally hire someone to become my copycat? It was insane. And for years, I didn't trust anyone. I was afraid to let anyone in to what I was doing. I didn't hang out with anyone anymore. I wasn't interested in networking or meeting new people. I became recluse. I didn't trust anyone. To know that I could easily be replicated made me feel like maybe you're not so innovative after all. If someone can just copy you, she even tried to convince me that she, in fact, did not copy me. And even after the fact, once she got fired, she literally would copy everything that we did. I remember we had a challenge, a wealthy challenge. She literally did the same exact thing. It was so creepy. It was so scary. And she actually had reached out to me like maybe months after trying to apologize and said something to the extent of she was, going through things and she was trying to heal her inner child. And she realized that what she did to me, she would never want someone to do to her. Girl, go to hell. I held on to this situation for years. This happened back in 2020, and it's taken me almost 4 years to actually talk about it. When I mean that situation threw me into a spiral, I was so depressed. I didn't create anymore. I stopped posting. I stopped sharing. I didn't want to do anything for the Idea Girl gang. I barely wanted to do anything for the Idea Girl. That took me out. So it's taken me years to get over just because betrayal is a bitch. Betrayal hurts the most because betrayal never comes from someone that you don't know. It never comes from a stranger. Betrayal hurts the most because it comes from someone you know. It comes from someone that you value, someone that you love. So when it happens, it cuts and it cuts deep. And thank God for the team members that I had around me who rallied around me and tried to keep up my spirits, who still helped me and whatnot. I still love them till this day. Shout out to the original Idea Girl squad. Like, you guys held me down for real, for real. But in hindsight, as much as that situation broke me, I needed that to happen. I needed that situation to highlight the flaws that I needed to fix about myself. For example, I would put everybody before me. I cared about everyone's opinion before mine. And I was way too nice. And I would never act in my own self interest. I would always act in the interest that garnered me the most likability. I was so focused on pleasing everyone around me that pleasing myself was an afterthought. And I needed her specifically to show me what it's like when you can go after your own interests. So, granted, even though the situation might have broke me, it literally set me up for the person that I needed to become. I learned how to put my interests first without stepping on other people. I learned how to be a little bit more self centered and how to serve my own needs. I learned how to establish boundaries. And most of all, I learned how to listen to my intuition. There were so many instances where my intuition was like, "Fire this girl, please." But because I didn't have any explanation, because my ego kept trying to reason with it, I didn't do it. And I was too afraid of how I looked to other people. Now, that would never slide. And I have much better discernment. I don't really care about being liked as much as I care about being respected. So I kind of needed that situation to happen with Ashley. And I low key thank her in a way because you just helped make a badder bitch. So shout out to you, girl. Shout out to you. So now enough about the past. I want to get into how to identify when someone is genuinely copying your work. Now, it's not always easy to distinguish between coincidence and deliberate imitation. So let's break down key indicators of copying, such as direct similarities in content, context, and timing, patterns of behavior, and using comparison tools. These strategies will help you discern whether your work is being replicated and guide your next steps in addressing the issue. Number one, direct similarities. Look for direct similarities in content, style, or execution. This could include the same phrases, taglines, identical design elements, or similar product features that are too close to be coincidental. Number two, context and timing. Consider the context and timing. If someone releases something shortly after you did with strikingly similar elements, it could be a sign of copying. Like, for example, the branding agency on Instagram. The post that I did on branding, brand, and brand identity was done on August 30th. That company came out with their post in October of 2023. Number three, patterns of behavior. Observe if the person or brand has a history of mimicking other people's work. This pattern can be a strong indicator of deliberate copying. If you go through their feed, if you go through their portfolio and you notice, like, this looks like this belongs to someone else's, chances are they're a copycat. Number four,
Comparison tools. Use tools like plagiarism checkers or side by side comparisons to identify copied elements. Discovering that someone has copied your work can have profound emotional and professional effects. Let's unpack these impacts and understand how they affect both our creative processes and professional lives. Number one, emotional toll. When you discover that someone has copied your work, it can be deeply frustrating, infuriating. You've invested time, effort, and passion into creating something unique only to see it replicated without acknowledgement or permission. Even worse, if the copycat is someone you know or have a professional relationship with, it can feel like a betrayal. And this betrayal can be even more intense if you've shared ideas in confidence, believing in mutual respect and trust, and they clearly don't respect you and show no indication that they're worthy of being trusted. The realization that your work has been copied can lead to a significant drop in motivation. You may feel that your efforts are pointless if others can simply take your ideas and pass them off as their own. Being copied can also lead to self doubt and questioning your own originality. You may even start to wonder if your ideas are truly unique or if they were ever valuable in the first place. Number two, professional consequences. When your work is copied, it dilutes your uniqueness. And if multiple versions of your ideas are circulating, it becomes harder for your original work to stand out. And that can somewhat affect your competitive edge. If people see that your work is easily replicable, you won't have that special appeal that makes you stand out from others. Your brand value is built on originality and quality. Copycats can tarnish this value by creating inferior or similar products or content, leading to confusion about who the true innovator is. There is nothing worse than having people online be confused. It's kind of like that Spider Man meme where all the different Spider Mans are pointing at each other because no one could tell who the true Spider Man was. That is exactly what I'm talking about. And when your audience encounters similar work, they may struggle to identify which one is the original. And this confusion could lead to a loss of loyalty and trust from your followers or customers. Number three, loss of trust. Being copied can erode trust in your professional relationships. You might become more guarded and less willing to share your ideas freely, fearing that they might be stolen. This loss of trust can extend to potential collaborations. And if you're worried about being copied, you may avoid opportunities to work with others and potentially miss out on valuable partnerships and growth. The experience of being copied can make you more protective of your work, leading to a more isolated and less collaborative approach in your professional life. Number four, impact on creativity. The stress and frustration of being copied can stifle your creativity. You might find it difficult to come up with new ideas when you're preoccupied with protecting your existing ones. You may also become hesitant to share your work publicly, fearing that it might be copied again. This fear can limit your exposure and the potential feedback that could help you grow and improve. Being copied can also make you more risk averse. Instead of pursuing bold, innovative ideas, you might stick to safer, less original concepts to avoid the possibility of being copied again. Ultimately, the impact of being copied can lead to a stifling of innovation. When you're constantly on guard, it's challenging to think freely and explore new creative avenues. So, how do you handle copycats effectively? Once you've identified that your work is being copied, the next step is deciding how to address it. Whether you choose to confront them directly, seek legal action, or decide to let it go, each approach has its own advantages and disadvantages. Let's explore how to turn these frustrating experiences into opportunities for personal and professional development. Number one, confrontation. Now, you can approach the copycat directly, preferably in a calm and professional manner, explain your concerns, and provide evidence of the similarities. Sometimes the copying may be unintentional. Open a dialogue to understand their perspective and educate them on the importance of originality. Now, this doesn't work for every instance. In my situation in particular, the person knew they copied me and they blocked me. Number two, legal action. If the copying is severe and damages your brand or business, consult with a legal professional to understand your options. This could include sending a cease and desist letter or pursuing legal action for intellectual property infringement. Familiarize yourself with copyright, trademark, and patent laws relevant to your work to better protect yourself and take informed action. Number three, let it go. Assess if the copying genuinely affects your business or if it's something you can overlook. Sometimes focusing on your own growth and innovation is more productive than engaging in a dispute. Redirect your energy towards improving and evolving your work. Continuous innovation and maintaining a strong personal brand or brand identity can outshine any copycat. In the face of copycats and imitation, maintaining professionalism and focusing on your own growth is paramount. How you handle these situations not only affect your reputation, but also your personal and professional development. Let's go over how to turn these challenges into stepping stones for greater success. Professionalism. Stay composed. Maintaining a professional demeanor, even when addressing a copycat, can preserve your reputation and shows that you handle conflicts maturely. Now, I may not be the most mature, guilty as charged, but I try to respond with a little bit of comedy. Public perception. How you respond to being copied can impact how others perceive you. A measured, professional response can garner respect and support from your audience, peers, and community. Innovate continuously. Keep pushing your creative boundaries and innovating. The best way to stay ahead is to keep evolving and setting new trends. Strengthen your brand. Invest in building a strong, unique brand identity that is hard to replicate. Authenticity and a clear value proposition can easily differentiate you from copycats. Community and collaboration. Engage with a supportive community of fellow creatives and professionals. Sharing experiences and solutions can provide new perspectives and bolster your own creative journey. Learning and adapting. Use the experience as a learning opportunity to better protect your work in the future. Adapt your strategies and approach to safeguard your ideas and intellectual property. Creativity is often inspired by trends, and distinguishing between inspiration versus imitation can be tricky. Let's define the line between drawing inspiration and straight up copying. In fashion, trends often cycle with past styles re-emerging in modern forms. Designers might draw from historical periods, leading to a collective shift in consumer preferences. Meanwhile, technological trends can drive innovation, such as the rise of smartphones, AI, or sustainable tech. These trends often spur new products and services, shaping how industries evolve. Art trends reflect cultural and societal changes. Movements like Impressionism or abstract expressionism influence generations of artists who interpret and build upon these styles. Now, let's talk about the influence on creativity in the marketplace. Trends can spark creativity by pushing creators to think outside the box and incorporate popular elements into their work. Trends often dictate what consumers want, influencing businesses to adapt to their products and services to meet these demands. Trends create a competitive landscape where brands and creators strive to differentiate themselves while aligning with or setting trends. Now, let's define the line between inspiration versus copying. Inspiration is when you draw elements from existing works to create something new and unique. It involves interpreting and transforming ideas rather than replicating them. Copying, on the other hand, is directly replicating someone else's work without adding original value or acknowledging the source. It often involves little to no transformation or creative input. Let's go over some examples of inspired works. So, the movie Star Wars was inspired by so many different sources, from mythology to old serial films and samurai culture, but yet they managed to transform it into a unique space opera. Harry Potter. J.K. Rowling drew inspiration from various mythologies, classic literature, and her own life experiences, creating a distinct and original story. So now there are two kinds of blatant copies. We have plagiarized art and product knockoffs. Plagiarized art are instances where artists have copied existing paintings or designs without any significant alteration or credit. Product knockoffs, on the other hand, are imitations of popular products like bags or shoes that mimic the original designs without permission. I remember when Christian Louboutin sued Steve Madden for using a red sole, which is the trademark of Christian Louboutin shoes, and they actually won in court. We see product knockoffs all the time with fake bags and fake shoes on websites like DHgate. But there are also more ethical ways to copy. You can draw inspiration by crediting your sources, acknowledging the original creators of ideas you draw from. This shows respect and maintains the integrity of the creative community. Ensure that your use of inspiration significantly alters or adds to the original work, creating something new. Understand and adhere to copyright, trademark, and patent laws to avoid legal repercussions and ethical breaches. Let's encourage a culture where inspiration is shared ethically, promoting a collaborative and respectful creative environment. Now, the question remains, is there truly such thing as an original idea? So, a few years ago, I read a book by author Elizabeth Gilbert called Big Magic: Creative Living Beyond Fear. And this book completely changed my mind on copying. So, Gilbert describes creativity as a mysterious force that interacts with individuals almost as if ideas have a life of their own. She also believes that ideas are universal and float around, waiting for someone, anyone, to act on them. Multiple people might receive the same idea simultaneously. She actually spoke about this in the book where she had this idea to write another novel. And it has something to do with a girl living in the jungle, so on and so forth, yada, yada, yada. She ended up going to a writer's convention and meeting an author that she truly looked up to. And they exchanged pleasantries, gave a kiss on the cheek and whatnot. Years later, they ended up, I believe, keeping in touch via letters and whatnot or via phone. I don't remember, but they were keeping in touch. And the author that she was a fan of mentioned that she was also working on a book. So she described the book. And somehow, some way, the book that she was describing was exactly the same as Elizabeth. So Elizabeth is like, how? I never told her about this book. I never told her about this idea, but there was such an uncanny resemblance that even Elizabeth was freaked out as to how her friend could possibly have the same exact idea as her for this book. So, being as spiritual as she is, she believed that there was an energy exchange at some point where they kissed on the cheek or a hug. So, Elizabeth goes on to share that we don't own our ideas. Elizabeth suggests that our ideas actually come from God. And if we don't act on the ideas that God gives us, God will rightfully give them to someone else that is willing to carry it out. So essentially, she says, God doesn't care how long it takes you to get something done as long as you are actively working on it. But if you decide to shelve an idea that God gives you, God will give it to someone else who is willing to put in the work to actualize this idea into existence. That even made me think about my situation with Ashley, who I used to work with. I put the Idea Girl gang on the back burner. I wasn't paying it any mind. And here was a person who was literally taking the same idea and putting it into existence. At the end of the day, we were choosing to help the same group of people. What if, because I put this idea on the back burner, she actually was tasked to bring this idea into fruition? So, in essence, no idea is truly original. Most creative works are influenced by prior knowledge, experiences, and existing creations. Innovation often involves combining old ideas in new ways. Throughout history, cultures have influenced each other, leading to shared motifs, techniques, and knowledge that shape new creations. For example, calculus was developed independently by both Isaac Newton and Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz around the same time. The telephone was simultaneously invented by Alexander Graham Bell and Elisha Gray, leading to a famous patent dispute. Creativity doesn't end with having a great idea. It's about acting on it and nurturing it through to fruition. Let's explore different strategies for overcoming procrastination and fear, fostering your creative process through regular practice and experimentation, and the value of community and collaboration. Harness the importance of prompt action. Acting on ideas quickly helps maintain the initial excitement and momentum, increasing the likelihood of successful execution. Prevent regret. Delaying action can lead to missed opportunities and regret if someone else brings a similar idea to life first. Have you ever had an idea and you let it sit for months, even years on end, and then you see someone bring that idea to life? There is nothing more frustrating. Don't delay action or else you'll regret it. Set clear goals. Break down your idea into manageable steps and set clear goals to make the process less overwhelming. Embrace imperfection. Accept that your first attempt doesn't have to be perfect. The key is to start and refine your work as you go. Remember, better done than perfect. Next, you want to nurture your creativity. Make creativity a habit by dedicating regular time to work on your ideas, even if it's just a few minutes each day. Also, don't be afraid to experiment and take risks. Trying new approaches can lead to unexpected and innovative results. Community and collaboration. Engage with a community of like minded individuals who can provide feedback, support, and inspiration. Collaborate with others to blend different perspectives and skills, which can lead to richer and more diverse creative outcomes. Lastly, letting go of attachment. Understand that not every idea will be realized. Letting go of unused ideas frees up mental space for new inspirations. View each idea as a learning experience, regardless of whether it comes to fruition. Stay open and keep an open mind for new ideas and opportunities. Embrace the fluid nature of creativity and be ready to adapt. Focus on continuous personal and professional growth. Every idea and project contributes to your overall development as a creator and a founder. And that brings us to the end of today's episode, where we've delved into the intricacies of trends, inspiration, copying, and the myth of originality. Creativity is a journey filled with ups and downs, moments of inspiration, and challenges of dealing with copycats. By understanding these dynamics, you can protect your work, stay true to your unique vision, and continue to innovate and inspire. Thanks for joining me in today's office hours. I hope this episode has provided you with valuable insights and encouragement to keep pursuing your creative passion. Remember, your ideas matter, and how you bring them to life is what truly sets you apart.
Thanks for tuning in to the Not So CEO Talk Show. If you love what you're hearing, hit that subscribe button and leave us a review. To stay in the loop, stack our newsletter, The Paper, and follow us on social media at Not So CEO. In case you need assistance with building your brand, or you're a creative wanting to go from freelancer to founder, book an office hour session with me on our website at notsoceo.co. Until next time, remember, being self-made shouldn't compromise self-care. This is Not So CEO, signing off.